There's a kind of prison that's almost invisible. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but you live in it every day. It has no walls, no guards, no locks, just a screen in your hand, a playlist in your ears, notifications lighting up your phone, and a feed that never stops. You wake up, and before your feet touch the floor, your hand is already reaching for your phone. You scroll, you swipe, you click, not because you really want to, but because it's automatic now. And yet something inside you feels off. Let me ask you something. Are you actually free? Most people will say yes. They'll say, I can do whatever I want. But is that freedom or just an illusion? Real freedom isn't doing what feels good in the moment. It's being able to choose, he said, with awareness. But when you're stuck in a loop of distraction, that choice slowly disappears. You react instead of decide. You escape instead of reflect. We've been trained to avoid silence, to run from stillness, to chase pleasure again and again, even when we don't need it, even when it doesn't make us happy. Why? Because a distracted mind is easy to control. You don't need chains to be trapped. You just need noise, endless noise. If you're always entertained, you never stop to ask the hard questions. You never look deeper. You never wake up. And that's exactly what the system wants. You were taught to believe that more pleasure means more happiness. But pleasure without purpose is just another form of slavery. It feels good, but keeps you stuck. And maybe, just maybe, a part of you already knows this. Maybe that's why you're here, listening, reading, wondering if there's more to life than this endless loop. There is, but it starts with awareness. It starts when you stop, when you notice the noise, when you hear that small voice inside you, the one you've been ignoring. Today, you don't need all the answers, but you do need to ask the first question. If this made you pause, even for a second, then something inside you is already waking up. You weren't born distracted. You were shaped that way. From a young age, you were told what to do, what to say, how to act. You were taught to sit still, follow rules, and not ask too many questions. When you were curious, they told you to be quiet. When you wanted to explore, they told you to focus. Little by little, your natural awareness was replaced with obedience. It wasn't about evil, it was about control. School didn't teach you how to think. It taught you what to remember. It prepared you to follow a system, not question it. The more you repeated, the more you were praised. And over time, you learned that it's safer to agree than to wonder. Then you grew up, and the system changed its face. Now, it doesn't use rules or punishments. It uses screens, likes, algorithms. It gives you content based on what you already believe. It shows you what you want to see, not what you need to see. It rewards your attention with more of the same until you forget what it's like to think for yourself. You scroll, not because you want to, but because your brain is trained to expect something new every few seconds. You react instead of reflect. You consume instead of question. This is psychological conditioning, not forced from the outside, but installed from the inside. And the scariest part? It feels normal, but normal doesn't mean healthy. Just because everyone is living this way doesn't mean it's right. A world filled with noise doesn't mean we're truly awake. You're surrounded by stimulation, but starved of meaning. You're connected to everything, but disconnected from yourself. Real thinking takes time. It needs silence. It needs space. But the system doesn't want you to slow down, because if you slow down, you might start to see. And once you see, you can't unsee. You might notice that your thoughts aren't fully yours, that your habits were programmed, that your choices were planted long ago. But awareness is power, and once you realize how much of your life has been shaped, you can start shaping it back. In the past, people were controlled with fear, chains, rules, punishment, but today, control looks different. Now you're not forced to obey, you're entertained into submission. You don't need someone telling you what to do. You follow willingly as long as it feels good. And that's the trap, pleasure. The world has taught you that happiness is the goal, that feeling good all the time is a sign of success. But is that really true? Think about it. You feel bored, you scroll, you feel sad, you eat, you feel anxious, you shop. There's always something to help you escape the feeling. But what happens when you always escape and never face it? You lose your strength. Pleasure is not the enemy, but chasing it without purpose makes you weak. You become dependent. You forget how to sit with your own thoughts. You forget how to feel uncomfortable and grow from it. Aldous Huxley once imagined a future where people wouldn't need to be forced to obey, because they would be too distracted by pleasure to care, too entertained to question anything. That future is now. No one is holding you down. No one is shouting at you to obey. And yet, you obey. You follow the path of least resistance. You take the easy option because it feels good, in the moment. But pleasure without direction is not freedom. It's control dressed up as choice. The more you depend on feeling good to function, the easier it is for others to shape what you want. You become a consumer, not a creator. You react instead of choose. And here's the truth. Most of what feels good instantly fades fast, but what gives meaning often takes time, effort, presence. So ask yourself, are you chasing what makes you feel good right now, or what builds something deeper for later? The system doesn't need to chain you, it just needs to keep you busy, distracted, satisfied enough not to ask, is this really the life I want? Real freedom isn't found in constant pleasure. It's found when you can say no, when you can sit with discomfort and still stay grounded. That's the kind of strength no one can control. Thinking is not hard. But thinking deeply, that's rare now. Most people don't think for understanding. They think just enough to react. They read a headline, scroll a post, hear a soundbite, and form an opinion in seconds. But real thinking takes time. And today, no one wants to wait. From school to social media, you were trained to follow, not question. You were rewarded for remembering, not for asking why. You were praised for getting the answer, not for challenging the question. And now, everything around you pushes speed over thought. News moves fast, content comes faster, and if you stop to think, you feel like you're falling behind. But here's the truth, fast minds are not always wise. Busy minds are not always awake. When everything is moving so quickly, there's no space to pause, no silence to reflect, no time to wonder, what am I really believing here? Algorithms show you more of what you already agree with. You get trapped in a bubble. A comfort zone where you're never challenged, only confirmed, and slowly you lose the habit of thinking for yourself. George Orwell warned us about a future where the truth would be hidden, but Aldous Huxley warned of something worse. A future where no one would care about the truth at all, and that's what we're facing now. A world so full of noise, we stop looking for clarity. A world so overloaded with opinions, we stop searching for wisdom. Critical thinking doesn't mean disagreeing with everything. It means pausing long enough to ask, is this real? Does this make sense? Who benefits if I believe this without thinking? But those are dangerous questions in a world built on distraction. Because once you start to think clearly, you become harder to influence. Harder to fool, harder to control, and that's what the system fears most. It doesn't need you to be quiet, just too busy to think. But the moment you stop and really look, you begin to see through the fog. And when you see clearly, you can never go back to sleep. We were told that life should always feel good, that happiness is the goal, that if something feels hard, something must be wrong. But that belief made us weak. Now, most people can't handle silence. They panic in boredom. They avoid pain at any cost, and they expect to feel good all the time, or they feel like they're failing. But life doesn't work that way. Discomfort is part of growth. Sadness has a purpose. Frustration teaches us. Even pain carries lessons if we stop running from it. Today, the moment we feel anything uncomfortable, we escape. We open our phones. We play music. We scroll, eat, shop, or distract ourselves in any way possible. But the more we run, the less we grow. Instead of building resilience, we're building dependence. Emotional strength comes from facing what hurts, not hiding from it. Now, even small problems feel huge. Minor delays cause stress. One negative comment can ruin a whole day, not because the world became crueler, but because we lost our ability to hold pressure. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, once said, "When suffering has meaning, it stops being suffering." But today, we avoid all suffering and lose the meaning too. When you always numb yourself, you miss the chance to evolve. Real confidence doesn't come from always feeling good. It comes from knowing you can handle it when things feel bad. The system benefits from your emotional weakness. If you always need comfort, you'll chase anything that offers it, even if it controls you. You'll accept anything that promises to protect you from pain, even if it also takes your freedom. But here's the truth. Feeling deeply is not a flaw. It's not weakness. It's power. Only those who allow themselves to feel can fully understand themselves, and only those who understand themselves can break free. Being strong doesn't mean never feeling broken. It means learning how to walk through pain and come out wiser. So the next time you feel something uncomfortable, don't rush to escape. Sit with it, listen to it, because sometimes your discomfort is trying to tell you something, and that message could change everything. There's a big difference between living with purpose and just chasing what feels good. A lot of people are moving fast, working, scrolling, partying, chasing goals. But when you stop and ask them why, They don't know. They're busy, but lost. Always doing something, but going nowhere. This is what happens when you trade purpose for pleasure. Pleasure is easy. It's quick. It makes you feel good right now, but it doesn't last. And the moment it fades, you need more. Another video, another snack, another like. It never ends, and it never fills the emptiness. Purpose is different. It's not always fun. Sometimes it's hard, but it gives your life meaning. It gives your struggles value, and it makes the pain worth something. Aldous Huxley warned us that when a society focuses only on pleasure, people forget how to live with depth. They stop asking hard questions, they avoid anything that makes them uncomfortable, and they lose the ability to find real direction. That's what we see now. We're trained to choose what's easy, not what matters. And then we wonder why we feel empty, even when everything looks good. Viktor Frankl, who survived the darkest moments of human history, said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But most people today don't have a why because they've been told they don't need one, as long as they're happy. But here's the problem: pleasure without purpose becomes a trap. It feels like freedom, but keeps you stuck in the same cycle. You think you're choosing, but you're just reacting. Real freedom comes when you know why you do what you do, when your actions follow your values, not just your cravings. So ask yourself, what are you really chasing? A feeling that fades or something that lasts? Purpose doesn't show up in a single moment. It's built over time, through effort, failure, reflection. It's not always exciting, but it's real. And when you find it, you stop needing constant pleasure because you finally have something deeper guiding you. Maybe the peace you're looking for won't come from adding more. Maybe it will come from finding your why. Now that you've heard all of this, you have a choice. You can go back to scrolling, back to the same habits, the same distractions, the same noise. It would be easy. The world is designed to pull you back in. It wants you busy, not thinking, entertained, not awake, comfortable, not free. But maybe something inside you shifted. Maybe a part of you finally saw the pattern, the loop, the trap, and now you can't unsee it. That's the beginning of change. It doesn't mean you have all the answers. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It just means you're no longer asleep, and that makes you dangerous to a world that feeds on unconscious people. You see, when you start thinking clearly, you stop following blindly. When you find purpose, you stop needing constant pleasure. And when you learn how to sit with discomfort, you become stronger than any system built to control you. But don't expect everyone to understand. Some will feel threatened by your change. They might laugh, ignore you, try to pull you back. Not because you're wrong, but because your awakening makes them see what they've been avoiding. That's part of the journey. The truth is, not everyone wants to wake up. But if you do, truly, then keep going. Read more, think deeper, feel fully. Choose growth over comfort, and don't forget why you started. You're not here to live on autopilot. You're not here to just exist. You're here to become fully alive, aware, free. So if this message made you feel something, don't let it fade. Sit with it, act on it, share it. Someone else out there is still asleep, and your voice might be the one that helps them finally wake up.